Inhofe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I think that was one of the best opening statements I've heard. I say to the administrator that we really need to hear the truth. We need to get it into the record. And I have to share something with my fellow senators here. When you were confirmed, Andrew, I remember that there was a very large meeting of all of the employees. I think all of the employees of the EPA were invited.
Yes, sir.
There were several. You didn't even know it, but I was there because I wanted to watch. I wanted to see the reaction of these people, to see the ones who have realized that here's Andrew Wheeler. Sure, some of them may disagree with your philosophy in different areas, but no one would say that you're not the most knowledgeable person. There's no one who is more knowledgeable than you who has ever crossed into that administrator's position. And I watched the expression on the faces, and what we could see there was, in their own way of saying it, there's room at the top. That you started your career with the EPA, and you've taken every position, and you've exceeded, and you've come to the top. And that was a very heartwarming thing, not just because you worked for me for 14 years, but because they all knew that there is, in fact, room at the top. Then in your statement, I thought you did a very good job of showing what we have done for the environment, for the quality of life. And it's for people to try to say that that is not the case. They don't have the facts. We just look and we see what's happened since, and I could go in there and talk about some of the things. I think they're covered very well by the chairman. And the fact that all pollutants have decreased. One of them I have often talked about is in the year 2017, in this administration, all of it in this administration, the United States led the world in CO2 emission reductions. So what you've done is just an incredible feat, and I'm very, very proud of you. And you've had a lot of help. I think your first top person was RJ, and we don't need to talk about him anymore because he's not there, but you do have someone else in Mandy. And I can tell you that you didn't do all this stuff alone. You had a lot of help, and she was a skilled attorney. She was very active in the previous administration. And I'm just real proud. I see that she's here. So I want to say to you, Mandy, you're doing a great job, and what a great team that we're looking at, and we're very proud of you. The two things I was going to bring up, one has been brought up very effectively by the chairman, and that is the 10th Circuit and what has happened on small refiners. This is the major concern that I have in my state of Oklahoma. It's been a real serious problem. What hasn't been mentioned, it's just the whole industry has undergone problems that are unprecedented. We do know right now Saudi Arabia and Russia are trying to put us out of that business very clearly. And I've even suggested to go as far as tariffs, talking to the Secretary of Commerce, and that something like that needs to be done. But then when you talk about the refiners and the problems that they're having, I think you've answered the question very well that our chairman asked about that, and I appreciate the fact that he did it very effectively discredit the report that we have heard over and over again. So what I'd like to do, in keeping with the time, nothing has been said so far about the disastrous Obama-era fuel economy standards. I mean, we all knew what was happening at that time, and I'd like to have you look at the safe vehicle rule, and specifically addressing the rule in terms of choice, in terms of vehicle price tags, in terms of passenger safety in the remaining time. Would you do that?
Absolutely, sir. And first, there's a lot of misinformation out there. Our safe rule will save more lives than not, and that has been shown in our analysis, in our joint analysis with NHTSA. It also will help produce automobiles that Americans want to purchase. One of the problems that we've seen over the last 10 years is the average age of cars on the road is increasing. Used to be 8-year-old cars on the roads. Today it's 12-year-old cars are on the roads. Older cars are inherently less safe and worse for the environment. And we have proposed increases each year, 1.5% better fuel efficiency. The Obama administration did have a higher percentage, but the companies were not complying with that. They were unable. And in 2016, only 4 companies were able to comply. In 2017, only 3, without having to cash in credits or pay fees or penalties to the Treasury. Those fees and penalties were to reach over $1 billion. That's $1 billion that would have been passed on to the consumer in higher prices of cars. So our regulation will save lives, it will reduce CO2 over the long term, and it will allow Detroit and the other automobile companies around the world to produce cars that Americans want to purchase.
Thank you.